Nutrien Ag Solutions. I'm Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your Canadian Prairie weather story for Monday, July 31st, 2023. We'll start off taking a look at the satellite animation here on Monday morning. The sun has been up for a few hours. We've got a good look at what's going on. A lot of clear skies across the prairie. We've got some clouds down here in southern Manitoba, but in general, we've got a storm system pushing in, those strong upper-level winds kicking the clouds out of the area. Thick wildfire smoke now across the Manitoba-Ontario border, kind of coming up over the top of this ridge and then being brought down around the base of an area of low pressure across the Hudson Bay. So you can kind of see the flow there doing some work. And so with the clear skies across portions of the prairie, we will heat that up and allow for some scattered areas of thunderstorms, maybe a few strong storms later on this afternoon and evening to begin to develop. As we talk about the current precipitation here, midday Monday, some areas of rain north of Highway 16 in central Saskatchewan, another area of showers along the Alberta-British Columbia border there, just a little bit north of the Peace River region. So generally dry, generally sunny conditions and pretty warm across much of the prairie. Temperatures pretty uniformly in the mid-20s. You find some cooler temps, some upper teens as you make your way back toward Calgary and Edmonton, and then even a little bit cooler as you head further to the north and to the west toward the Peace River area, maybe some mid, even some lower teens across those regions. Now again, as we take a look at the severe weather outlook, I'll show you the precipitation here in just a moment, but the severe weather outlook as we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening, the highest risk going to be across the Regina area, down south toward the border with North Dakota, and then you move on over toward the Brandon area and southwestern portions of Manitoba. Can't rule out a couple of strong storms producing some hail. Calgary north toward Grand Prairie, kind of in the Front Range area across those regions later on this afternoon as well. As we take a look at the instability here on Monday afternoon and then the precipitation as we get to Monday evening, again, you could see the strongest instability across kind of, we'll call it southeastern into southern Saskatchewan, but still some relatively high values as you make your way back around the backside of this low up toward the foothills here. Again, Calgary up toward Grand Prairie. You look on the precipitation, the forecast though on the right, even though it's quite unstable, we're still talking about isolated to scattered severe storms across the region. So this is not an event that's going to bring a widespread soaking rain. This is not a widespread, everybody gets hit with severe weather as well. This is one of those days where you're probably going to wake up tomorrow hearing about someone in central or southern Saskatchewan who picked up a lot of hail from a very intense supercell. The same thing could be true across the Calgary up toward Grand Prairie area. A few folks probably going to be experiencing some hail. Most of you will not. We'll look at the precipitation totals here through the next 3.5 days. So this gets us through Thursday evening. Again, much of this across southern Saskatchewan into southern Manitoba occurs as we get to Monday night through Wednesday. We've got another storm system that makes its way through midweek. We're looking at the NAM on the left, the European on the right. You can kind of make out the pattern here. Hit or miss scattered storms. Heaviest kind of Peace River, that area, then a little bit further north outside of the Ag Belt here across the northern border of Alberta and British Columbia. You've got isolated to scattered hit or miss thunderstorm activity across central and southern Saskatchewan into southern Manitoba. And then you've got a pretty big dry void across southern Alberta into southwestern Alberta. And we look at the forecast really out through the next 7 days, and that remains pretty true. Again, we'll see another chance for some scattered showers and storms as we head through the weekend, but I think the better chance for a lot of folks in the prairie to pick up precipitation comes with a pattern shift that occurs mid to late next week. So over the next 5 to 7 days, we've got the chances in there. Really, I've got to say, except for folks in southeastern Alberta and southwestern Saskatchewan, I think it's probably going to be a pretty dry next 5 days for you, but with some opportunities as we get into next week. So this is your next 7 days. Just verbatim from the European operational model, so it's not going to happen exactly like this, but the pattern is pretty clear. The prairie right in between two corridors of heavier precipitation. One moving through the northern plains of the U.S., and then the other one well north of the prairie here across the northern tier of the prairie provinces. Now we'll look at the jet stream winds that accompany all of this over the next 7 days. Here's the storm system right now, the one that brings the scattered storms on Monday afternoon and evening. This one continues off to the east over the next couple of days. I'm sorry about that. I want to go through time with this one and show you. Here's the next one that comes in on the heels. This is now getting into Wednesday and Thursday. We get another storm system that takes on basically the same track, but it is much less of a precipitation producer. This is another one where I was like, why are we not getting any rain across southern Alberta and southwestern Saskatchewan? I'll show you that in a moment, but as I take this through, Thursday into Friday, you really see we start to lose the consolidated jet stream winds funneling into the area. Again, if we want active weather, we want storm chances, we need those consolidated jet stream winds coming into the prairie. We lose that over the weekend into the beginning of next week, and then we start to pick it back up mid to late next week. So here's the precipitation forecast from the European model. I'll show you the first couple of storm systems here. This is your Monday morning, Monday afternoon, and now Monday evening. Again, scattered severe storms near Highway 16, isolated storms south of that. Maybe a better chance for a strong storm south of Highway 16 in southern portions of Saskatchewan late this evening. We'll go through the overnight, looking for maybe 1 or 2 clusters of storms to develop across central and southern Saskatchewan, pushing into Manitoba. This is your Tuesday. Tuesday would probably be a pretty quiet day across the prairie, maybe some storms near the border with North Dakota. Then we get the second wave, the second storm system that comes in here late week. Here it is emerging. The area of low pressure on Thursday morning, this would really be more like Wednesday evening, emerges across southern Alberta, doing so pretty dry. Again, don't see areas of showers and storms associated with that, except well to the north. This is now getting into Thursday morning. This is your Friday. Now we start to see some showers and storms firing up across the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border on Thursday evening. Here it goes Friday. And then again, we lose the jet stream flow. Precipitation going to be pretty disorganized across the region through the weekend into early next week, and then really start to blur your eyes here. I lose confidence in the specifics as we get into, this is Wednesday, August 9th, 10th, and 11th. This is when I think we could see another area of low pressure, another upper level low, bringing in more organized precipitation chances. Of course, we'll talk about what details might come with that during our Monday morning forecast video next week. But again, to kind of talk about, just kind of illustrating, it's complicated when we look for these storm systems. And the moral of the story, what I'm going to tell you here, is this is why we can't forecast the weather with any sort of detail 3 months from now, or a month from now, or sometimes even 2 to 3 weeks from now. It's because even if we can forecast a pattern that looks like it's riddled with upper level disturbances and storm systems, we don't know the finer details of each little disturbance. So we talked in depth about Monday and Tuesday's storm system here, the one that could bring some severe weather this afternoon and evening. But then let's talk about what's coming in Wednesday evening. You see this push of upper level winds coming in. The tablet that I usually use to illustrate on the maps is not working right now. I apologize for that. But you see the green shading, the stronger winds coming across the British Columbia and Alberta border into central and southern Alberta. But then you see the precipitation is dry across much of central and southern Alberta. We flip it over here and look at the moisture. This is the precipitable water. So saying, how much moisture is in the atmosphere if we just kind of wring it all out. Well, this is what it looks like here Monday evening. Again, we talked about the risk for severe storms across this region. You see all of the deep moisture. You see this push of dry air. It's along that boundary between the dry air that's pushing in from the southwest and the moist air out ahead of it that we get the most widespread thunderstorm chances. That's where the heightened risk is on the map I showed you earlier in the video. But then you follow the moisture kind of wrapping around. This is where you get your isolated chances for showers and storms, and maybe a rogue severe storm from Calgary up to Grand Prairie. But then as I animate this, you see all the dry air that's brought in with that first storm system. So then when the Wednesday storm system comes in, it does so to an already dry air mass. So this Wednesday storm system pushes into southern Alberta, not meeting an area of warm, humid air. Instead, it comes pushing into an already dry air mass. So there's no moisture to lift and to develop into showers and storms across southern Alberta. And this is one of the problems. This is, geographically something that happens a lot. We get the rain shadow impact there. That's why you look at climatology and it's drier across this region. But there are some compounding factors when we deal with drought. And of course, we know that it is most severe right now across southern Alberta, portions of southwestern Saskatchewan. So it kind of helps us keep the air dry across those regions, as we don't have the moisture in the soil and in the vegetation to kind of draw from with our storm system. So it's a bit of a double whammy. You just end up with a lot of dry air. It's what we're experiencing down here in the Midwest, the Corn Belt of the United States. Again, we've seen some drought. And so now as we get into a time of the year when we're typically seeing a lot of summertime thunderstorms, we're kind of handicapped with that drier air. And we're not getting as much in the way of shower and storm activity. So drought begets drought. We say that sometimes. And again, this is just some of that compounding issue that we see sometimes. So an active pattern does not always mean that we're going to get rain where we need to get that rain. It's the nature of the pattern. So we'll look at the upper level jet stream pattern as we look at the next 10 days. There's a lot going on. You see a lot of change with this. We are certainly not, blocked up or stuck in any sort of pattern. It's kind of an interesting evolution as we bring it back to present day. Again, we've got that area of low pressure off to the west. We've got the stronger flow coming around the base of that, bringing in those chances for some thunderstorms. Let me go ahead and step back. We'll go through time with this one. Here we go. So again, present day, as we get toward the end of the week, here's that Wednesday system. It kind of washes out in the bigger picture here. Again, it's not a very strong upper level storm system, all things considered. We get into the weekend and check this out. A big anomalous ridge across Alaska, Yukon, Northwest Territories are going to be seeing some hotter temperatures up there, but this pattern, again, we have a trough that develops across the northern plains of the U.S., this big ridge off to the north, and an upper level low across the Gulf of Alaska. And then we find ourselves here on the prairie, kind of under the influence of northwest flow between the high and the low. So this does not send our temperatures soaring. They'll see warmer temperatures off to the north, again, across Alaska, Yukon, the Northwest Territories. But temperatures, again, going to be a little mild at times, but we see a little bit of cooler influence from that trough. You see the warmer temperatures holding on where we got the drier soil, some influence from the drought there as well across southern Alberta, southwestern Saskatchewan. But we'll look at temperatures here in a moment, not too terribly bad as we head through the first 10 to 15 days of August, and there will be some opportunities for precipitation. So what I'm showing you here is the 10-day forecast period from August 4th through the 14th. Temperatures on the left, precipitation on the right. And again, not bad. Temperatures going to be pretty close to average, warmer, I think, overall as you look at the 10-day period there, but some influence from the big area of low pressure here, especially in Manitoba. I think you'll have some cooler days, and then that'll also probably be true in southeastern Saskatchewan, maybe a little closer to average and warmer than average as you make your way further west into southern Alberta. Precipitation on the right, though, you see that chance for above normal precipitation from southern Alberta into southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba, and that wetter pattern that goes through all the northern plains, the central plains, parts of the Midwest. So this is good news. It's a thumbs up. It means that we've got opportunities for rain coming in toward August, but also this is a wide area, and I tend to think as we go through the next 5 to 7 days, we're going to see this forecast start to hone in on where these corridors of heavier precipitation may actually end up. So I would imagine we'll have much more to talk about as we get together and have our Monday morning forecast video next week. That would be August 7th, the first video of the month of August here. I don't know why that feels significant here, but we are moving our way through summer and on through the growing season. So I show you your temperatures here in a few select cities. Again, Calgary, 26 tomorrow, 28 Wednesday, a little bit cooler heading into the weekend. Then we get that upper level trough that develops mid next week. We could see the temperatures fall off even a little bit more. Edmonton, a very similar look. Highs pretty much in the low to middle 20s as we head through the next 7 days. We could see those highs dipping into the upper teens by late next week. Saskatoon, a very similar look. Again, this is a pattern change that we'll be experiencing across all of the Canadian Prairie into the northern plains here. And again, not one that's headed one particular way, a pattern that is going to offer up some variety. And again, that is good news. I know we're getting into, toward the end of the growing season into harvest. So you all let me know in the comments and in my emails here when we need some dry windows for you specifically to get out there and start the harvest. But in general, it's just anytime we can get a chance for some precipitation, that's good. And anytime we can avoid a big ridge sitting up overhead with a prolonged period of heat and drought, that is good this time of year as well. We'll finish with the temperatures here in Winnipeg. I will talk to you again 7 days from now.